Greetings! Are you new to Forsaken? Do people keep killing you? Do you keep losing a slasher? Well, lucky for you, I can help you out. Now before we start, I'm gonna need you to like and subscribe. Now, let us begin. Let's get down to the basics. Noob. No, I'm not calling you a noob, but your current survivor that you have selected. How do I play noob, you may ask? Well, let's start with the basics. Abilities. Noob has 3 abilities. Let's go over the first. Cola. Cola is where you drink a soda for 2 to 3 seconds, and you gain a speed boost for 10 seconds. Sounds OP, right? Wrong! It got nerfed into the fucking ground after the Noli update, back when Slate and Cola had charges. Cola had a cooldown of 15 seconds, and you could drink a normal cola to use the ability after a normal cola runs out to gain more distance. Remember the 15-second cooldown? So you could have technically spammed it to keep outrunning the killer for the 1 whole minute. But remember the nerf. Now, if you use a normal cola before the ability, it will get a cooldown of 45 seconds, the new base cooldown. And because of the Noli update, it makes it so if you drink a normal cola before your cola ability, you will get a cooldown of 45 seconds, the new base cooldown, which I've just stated. Sadly, if you use a normal cola after the ability, you'll get speed 1 instead of the usual speed 2. So they nerfed both ways you could use it. So, sorry. However, cola is still technically useful during the LMS if you want to gain distance, so you have a better chance of survival. Now that we've covered one ability, now let's cover the second, Slate Skin. Slate Skin is where you drink a potion of Slate Skin and you gain the status effect Slate and Overheal. Overheal gives you 80 extra HP that slowly decreases until it runs out or is either removed by a killer. I also forgot to mention that you're slowed during this process, so if you're in a chase and you need to regenerate your stamina, this could be your best bet. But if you use the ability again while it's currently under effect, you get speed 1 for 1 to 2 seconds, and a slightly dazed killer. But if it fully runs out, you get speed 2 for 2 seconds. But there's huge drawbacks I forgot to mention. Every killer has almost one way of countering this. 1X can hit you with the entanglement and mass infection, destroying your overheal. Cool Kid can hit you with a corrupt nature and walk speed override after your slate skin has worn off, dealing 30 damage along with 10 burn damage. Guest 666 can also hit you with a demonic pursuit after the slate has worn off. Jason, Slasher, can do a raging pace and then a gashing wound after a few seconds of you being a slate, so you can take overall 30 to the right damage. And Noli, well, he can just run you over with his truck. And so we've covered both his first and second abilities so far. But what about the third? Introducing Ghost Burger. It does what it sounds like. You turn invisible for 10 seconds, making you immune to killer ESP moves and the highlight during LMS. Sounds good, right? Well, the only thing that is good about the ability is the ESP immunity. You're still slightly visible, and 99% of the player base can see you while you're currently invisible. So don't go running up to the killer and dance in their face, because you're practically dead at that point. You could also pair this with Slate Skin to be more invisible while using the Ghost Burger ability near stone walls or gray props. Now that we've covered all of Noob's abilities, now it's time to get the basics of looping down and stamina managing. So, how do we stamina manage? Where do you want to start? Here or right here? If you chose here, you die. If you choose here, you live. But we also have to take into account your stamina. If you start a chase at 60 stamina, The killer with 100 stamina, you most definitely die. But if you start with 80 stamina and the killer is 60, you have a chance to survive. And we cannot forget the number one rule when it comes to looping and stamina managing. Make sure you hug the wall and never, ever let your stamina reach 0. Because if your stamina reaches 0, it will take roughly 2 to 3 seconds for your stamina to start regenerating again, which is very lengthy and annoying, so do not do that. Now that we've covered the basics for noob and how to stamina manage as a survivor, it is now time to cover how to play as Slasher. Let's first start with the abilities. Here's the first one, Slash. Slash is the basic melee attack for Slasher, dealing 20 damage with a cooldown of 2 seconds. The damage increases to 25 if you're in a raging pace. And now, for the next ability, Behead. Behead does the same damage as Slash, but inflicts Helpless for 8 seconds, nullifying all survivor abilities until Helpless has ended. Also, Behead does 25 damage along with the raging pace, just like the default Slash. Now, let's cover the next one, Gashing Wound. Gashing Wound is where Slasher does this lengthy animation where he grabs the survivor and cuts them up with a chainsaw, dealing 50 damage. But if he's in a raging pace, he would do 70 damage instead of the usual 50. And sadly, the ability has a cooldown of 32 seconds. And now we're done with the first 3, let's cover the one that's been mentioned in all of them. Raging Pace. Raging Pace has a cooldown of 30 seconds, and this ability does no damage, but it does regen your stamina. But after a few seconds of you being in Raging Pace, and when your stamina reaches all the way to 100, it slowly diminishes to 70% stamina. But you are sadly also slowed. So it's faster than your walk speed, but slower than your run speed. But pair this with your other abilities, as previously stated with them, you can deal more damage with it. Now we're done with both noob and Slasher, you need to look at these clips to get a better look on how to loop and play Slasher.